Thanks for joining us once again. Tesla production exceeds expectation is the focus of our talk today. I want to just get a little better orientation relative to the sun here. So thank you for your indulgence. So what we wanted to focus on today is to review the latest production numbers that came out today, Sunday the 2nd of July 2023. Now, we have some sort of dig into these numbers going on, and we'd love to share what we learned as we head into an important period for Tesla based on those numbers and others. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also wanted to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show and like better ideas on investing and trading for Tesla, please join us on Patreon. I also wanted to note that we're having a problem with YouTube where if we do a show, they do not broadcast it to our subscribers. So if you'd like to make sure that you immediately get access to our shows, drop us a line at fcp1@aol.com. And if we have your email address, we can just simply send notice of the show to you without the do not post activities that Google has been doing. And it's been frustrating, and we've been asking for a change on their part. But there are a number of our subscribers who haven't received notices from us in months. And we actually usually produce at least 3 shows a week. So we'd love to have you join us. At any rate, today's focus, as I just shared with you, is what's going on with potential profit and revenue. So the number one thing I want to note is I'm thinking about schizophrenia here. I sort of checked in with some friends who are traders and investors and got different perspectives on what different people were thinking about. And I want to come up with a concept I call split brain. So the question is, what are short-term investors thinking about? They're thinking about, hey, Tesla was supposed to do under 450,000 vehicles. They did 466,000 delivered. Over 479,000 were produced. So in general, they've exceeded expectation in terms of numbers. Now, if you want to just do euphoria and enjoy and not have any worries or cares in the world, so what I'm hearing from friends of mine is Tesla should be in that 300 range very quickly and hopefully up into that 350 range over the next 2 or 3 weeks as we head into the actual earnings numbers that come out. Now, I'm hopeful that this happens, but as I said, this is really a split brain type situation. On one half of the brain, the discussion is, let's look at a hedge fund perspective on this. Well, yeah, hey, you guys exceeded the number, therefore you're deserving of some higher stock prices as a result. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think in general it does make sense. What's the other side of the brain here is, how do institutional investors think about what's going on? So this is where I think it becomes really tricky to really assess how the numbers are going to work out for Tesla. And here's why. So there are 2 variables that are always playing. Number one, not just are the numbers increasing from quarter to quarter, but what does that growth rate look like? And it's usually the growth of earnings that drive everything. And so because there are earnings attached to the new numbers that'll come from the charging facilities, we now have sort of numbers to chew on potentially of new revenue that'll be hitting starting next year for Tesla, and that's really big news. The question mark or issue that's lurking right now is, it's one thing to know the revenue and profits will come in next year and then the year after more dramatically. It's another thing to have immediate 2-day, what's the profit and revenue we can touch, look at. And so because we have new stuff like the Cybertruck, new stuff like the revenue associated with charging that are inbound, we haven't seen the whites of the eyes of those things being delivered yet, we now are in a tricky position. Yeah, Tesla gets credit for this, and we see a movement of the stock price. But on the other hand, the numbers are sort of promised but haven't shown up yet. And obviously they need to show up at a certain pace to add to the growth story that Tesla's experiencing both on revenue and profit. So my conclusion on this whole thing is that it's highly likely that we could end up sort of in a neutral sideways position to slightly up 10 or 15 points over the next few days. And then as the institutions get a chance to digest that, as you know, we have sort of their perspective being shared with the marketplace. So this is my anticipation of what's going to occur, is that I think it's going to be hard for the hedge funds to justify a blast up of 50 points for Tesla's stock price based on this exceeding number. We're over by 15 to 20,000 vehicles. We're not over by hundreds or, we're not over by 50 to 100,000 vehicles. So the other reason why I'm split-brained on what happened here is that one of the things that's been going on is that Tesla is, by the way, a Model X kind of pulled up next to me there. I thought it was kind of interesting. So the problem that's going on is that there are a whole bunch of other question marks that are going right now. For example, Tesla elected to lower prices, as you know, and then as competitors followed to the lower prices, Elon decided to sort of discount the lowest priced vehicles, but sort of return to the margins typical for the pricier vehicles. So one of the questions that's lurking is we want to see a nice steady growth rate of earnings, but it's hard for that number to keep growing in a steady way if you're lowering prices. So you may get unit count sold on revenue side, but if your margins are down because you've cut or discounted prices, you kind of have a problem with the growth rate of earnings being consistent with what analysts like to see to justify the stock price running nicely. So overall, I'd have to say that, congratulations to the Tesla team. They're producing a lot of vehicles, and the quarter, I think, was really strong. So that's excellent. As we get a chance to peel through what the analysts are saying about this, again, my theory is that until we can get the boost from concrete numbers, let's say on the Cybertruck starting to be delivered, we're sort of in this stuck zone of everything is looking kind of good, but we need to bolt on large amounts of new revenue that'll justify a nice move in the stock price. So the overall conclusion I'm getting is we're going to hear or see a September arrival for the Cybertruck. The vehicle has been validated officially. It is now running a lot of miles in Silicon Valley on the track, and obviously it'll be doing work in the cold weather trials in Australia as well as on a track in Austin. So if we do start getting some decent revenue from the units being sold starting in September, October, I think this is a cause for celebration, and that new revenue will add significant numbers that justify a much higher stock price. How much higher? Unknown, but we do know from the schedule I just gave you when. So overall, I could be wrong. Tesla bounces heavier than expected, but I really think that most of the move for the stock price in the short term has been discounted based on potential revenue that we're going to see next year from the charging facilities. But I've never put it past Elon to come up with something else that's a new stream that allows us to bolt on more potential profit and revenue for the company that could be extremely exciting. So stay tuned. As we learn more, we'll share it with you. In general, all the discussion right now is just below 300 is a target price for the stock as we enter the earnings zone. Um, I think the biggest question mark is, hey, what are the profit margins like? And do the margins that the company is enjoying, you know, is that valid to support the stock price? And I'd say the answer is probably, but we won't have anything concrete until we know how all the discounting shook out for the company coming up. At any rate, want to again thank you for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Apologize for the issues with sound on our last show, but I definitely think we've got it figured out here. Also wanted to note for our health tip today, one of our doctor advisors suggested do not eat, obviously 4 hours prior to going to bed is ideal, minimum 2 hours. Also, no more than once a week on fried foods to limit the negative impact on that on your body. At any rate, once again, thanks for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, la hitrod, choda haves, zdravstvuyte, ni hao ma, namaste, arrivederci. And in Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.